Lauren, I want to just start with something you and your colleagues said. You said, whether an invasion occurs now or not, tensions will remain high and the cyber threat will likely wax, not wane. Explain this for us.
The cyber threat has been, really pervasive for such a long time, really going back, at least a decade. As you mentioned in the previous segment, we've seen, a number of not only nation state sponsored attacks like the SolarWinds operation, but also ransomware attacks. And so those just keep increasing. And I think, as Jeff mentioned, with the conflict as it's currently playing out, both in the cyber domain and in the physical domain, that I think we're going to see even more. And then also, too, other adversaries, other nation states sort of see this happening too, and they're learning as well.
I'm wondering, Lauren, is there a point in the world where you see cyber warfare starting to overtake traditional warfare as we know it? To what extent does cyber warfare become so damaging that it really starts to change the course of history here?
Well, I will say that the cyber domain offers really, such an asymmetric advantage, especially for those nation states who may not have the, similar capabilities in the physical domain as we do. It offers concealment, it offers stealth, it offers reach and impact as well. And as far as, whether that will change a lot of things, how different adversaries, whether they're criminals or, nation state sponsored, or of course, a hybrid of both, really start to impact our essential services and really start to impact public safety. That's when, I think really we're going to see a lot more of a response and a lot more, worry over this and impact, basically.
Lauren, can you dig into that a little bit? I mean, how do those, I think you and your team called it second and third order effects, how do those ripple effects actually work? If a cyber hacker is attacking one nation, but it can trickle to, multiple nations around the world?
Yeah, absolutely. So on one hand, if we're looking at Ukraine, right? Ukraine has been, as Jeff mentioned, the testing ground for Russian cyber attacks. So some of the major ones that we've seen throughout the years are in 2015 and 2016 when they shut down their electrical grid. So they shut off the power for a number of hours, and each of those attacks got even more sophisticated and damaging. And then, of course, with the NotPetya malware that was targeted at Ukraine and a Ukrainian tax agency, spread around the world, causing billions of dollars in damage. And so, from that perspective, businesses can really suffer a lot of losses here. So again, we saw that with NotPetya, we saw that with other attacks too. And then, as the article mentioned, sometimes, when that malware is spreading around, maybe it just takes that computer completely offline. And so, as we mentioned in the article, what would you do if you don't have operable systems? Can you operate with pen and paper? So, that could be an impact, right? So something that happens in Ukraine could potentially spread across the world like it has before. Or you could have attacks that are targeted at United States military, federal networks or agencies, or even the private sector, as we've seen, especially with those ransomware attacks.
Lauren, let's go a little bit deeper on the NotPetya attack. You alluded to it, but if I remember correctly, there was a Russian state-sponsored attack, according to the U.S., that really targeted a Ukrainian tax preparation software. It got completely out of control, and it wasn't the first kind of ransomware incident that we saw. I'm thinking back to WannaCry, for instance, maybe 6 months or a year prior. Is there anything that those incidents specifically teach us about the current moment, particularly as we've seen this kind of rise of ransomware in the years since?
Yeah, absolutely. So as you mentioned, those two particular operations, so WannaCry and NotPetya, were developed and deployed by nation state actors, so North Korea and then Russia. And in both of those cases, that particular malware just spread so quickly across the globe. I remember with WannaCry, you saw, hospitals being shut down, especially in the UK. And so that's the danger here with this kind of malware. We call it reckless malware, where it just continues to spread and impacts our essential services. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes that, it maybe doesn't, it's not intended to do so. And then sometimes it is intended to do so. We saw that actually the Wall Street Journal reported this in 2019. An Alabama hospital was targeted by a ransomware group, and a baby actually ended up dying, as a result of that attack, because they weren't able to monitor essential services. And so there's a real danger here because, with a particular malware like this, it really, can exploit certain vulnerabilities that all kinds of programs and systems are using. So it's very untargeted. That's the thing. It can be, as in NotPetya, aimed at this particular mom and pop tax preparer software. But if anyone is using that particular program, perhaps hasn't patched a specific vulnerability, that can be impacted. And so many programs, use different services.
Lauren, you've given such great examples here on the real life implications to cyber hacks to different businesses. When we talk to business executives here, they give really specific examples of the worst case scenarios: an attack on the Fed, a central bank, water systems, energy grids, things that can really stifle the infrastructure of a city in a second. And I'm wondering, what is the bar here for an attack like that? How likely is it? And is this something that, state-sponsored actors consider?
Absolutely. There have been a number of reports saying that, these particular actors have been observed monitoring, probing, doing reconnaissance on these systems. The issue, for us, though, is that we don't necessarily have a lot of visibility into what's happening, who's in the system, who's doing what. We really rely on a lot of voluntary and, unfortunately, a lot of times sparse reporting. And so, as we wrote in our article, one of the things that organizations should really consider doing is to, if you don't have these relationships already, but get to know your FBI field office representative, get to know your CISA regional representative, so that you can share anomalous activity, maybe malicious activity. So, even things that you're not quite sure of, hey, is this strange to you? And then in that way, they can sort of put together, this larger radar picture to understand what's actually happening and who's doing what. Because, there have been these instances of this particular activity. And so we know that the intent is there. We know that the capability is there. And so it's really just trying to understand and stop it.
Lauren, how worried are you specifically about a spillover attack like that affecting organizations in the United States today?
Well, I'm always worried about things like this. I definitely have concerns, and certainly I know, at this point we, especially, as we detailed in the article, we have seen some elevated activity in this sense. And we know that organizations are quite vulnerable. I don't know, of course, what sorts of, tactical or even strategic operations are underway at this point, again, because, we just don't have that visibility. However, I think with what Director Jen Easterly is doing at CISA, with the Shields Up advisories, the FBI putting out information, and then, of course, with the Biden administration working across the interagency and working to get this intelligence out and, trying to warn organizations, I think that, there's a real understanding here and a real push to say, hey, let's prepare, let's be ready for this and, be on guard.